hasn't started the here it goes. I'm trying to imitate the Jaws. Hey everybody, look at this wonderful group of people. Some of them are here in the flesh, and some of them are here in the flesh, but behind the their avatar. But that's okay. We love them all. We don't discriminate. We just enjoy everybody's company. But welcome everybody. We're gonna go around the room today. We're just hanging out and having a talk. And why don't we go around the room? We'll start with last in first. So we'll go Americo. I'm just going to go around the screen. Americo, Keith, Jim, and then myself. And then we'll just introduce yourself, where you dialing in from, and tell us what's the one thing that you're trying to get accomplished here as we entered the third quarter, and we're coming in towards fourth quarter. So what, between now and the end of the year, what's your big priority, and what are you trying to get accomplished? But before you give us what's your goal, give us a win. So name, where you're dialing in from, what are you trying to get, what's your win, and then what are you trying to get accomplished before the end of 2026, because we're here at the halfway point. So America, you get started, and hopefully we can all remember those four areas, because I probably won't.
All right, you keep me on track then. Hello everyone, Americo DaCosta, tuning in from just north of Toronto, Canada, north of the 49th parallel. What is one of the wins? I'm going to celebrate today's win as soccer and FIFA.
Hey,
win. We made history. We might not go any further, but we've been, carving in the history books. Today we won 1-0.
You're in the 16s.
We're in the 16th, so we continue to find ourselves in the history book. So a big round of applause to our men's national soccer team. Glad someone had that queued up. Now, what am I looking to accomplish? Listen, you hear me often talk about let's go live, and the home stretch is no different than the kickoff to the year. It's to continue to help people become visible and find themselves online, and help others find and discover what they're up to from an online presence, but from a visible presence, from a live stream perspective. There's just so many people who are missing the opportunity, whether it is to supplement live streaming as part of their content strategy. Listen, I've never found it easier to come up with content from the day I went live. You have conversations, you're building trust, you're building social credibility, you're building social authority, and the content is evergreen. And I absolutely love and advocate for that, and try till the end of the year, and we'll kick off next year probably doing a little bit of the same, helping people build their confidence, develop their message, and getting comfortable, whether it's on or off camera. I'm off camera today, but I'm just as happy to go on camera and have this conversation and help others do the same.
All right. Good to hear what you're up to, what's your win, and congratulations on Canada. So, I won't make you sing it, okay? But we're gonna go over to Keith. Keith, what's your name? Where you dialing in from, and what's your win, and
okay, you'll love this. So I'm calling in from Melbourne, Australia. It's Monday, 11:14 a.m. My week has already started, and I love Substack. And my win is that of the 380 subscribers that I have, 62% live in the US, 62%. And 37% of the 50 states follow me, right? And Substack gives you this really cool map. So my goal this year is to get the whole set, right? So if you live in Nebraska or Nevada or Honolulu or Maine, then there's 13 states that don't yet follow me. And I'm just going to work my guts out, pedaling fast down here to get them all. New Hampshire, Delaware, North Carolina, some of them lesser populated states, Hawaii, Alaska, Nebraska. And it's a great fun goal to get. I'm going to get the whole set, right? So as my population grows, I'm getting the whole of the US and 8% of Canada. So 70% of my followers are in the North American region. Now, that's an important thing for me to know, because I can just focus there. I can live my whole life in US time and celebrate that win of Canada's today, 1-0 against South Africa. They're in the 16s. Like, this has never happened before. So I'm with you. And in 2 days, we've got Canada Day, haven't we, America? So you get a double whammy there.
Yeah, we get a triple whammy. We get Canada Day, and then we close the week off with Independence Day.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so help me out. 13 states of the US still haven't yet followed me. I'll give you a list, and we'll just go after them.
I think you should. I think you should just hit search in Substack and find people that are in those places and follow them. They might follow you back.
Does Substack have a search feature?
It sure does.
Based on state, based on location.
I think if you just put the keywords in, you'll find people have it in their bio, and it'll pull them up based on that.
Ooh, that's a great. See, Keith. 4 heads are better than one. That's just the bottom line. That's just the bottom line. Yeah. So hey, we love what you're doing there, and we love that we have our Aussie friend as one of the things, your isms that you say that I always say out there. I was, like when I'm talking to my American friends, I always say, as my Aussie friends say, good on you. I use some of your terms and I've learned from you.
Yeah.
You guys have a different way of talking. And I love that. I was accused recently here in Georgia that I talk funny, and I just had to laugh. It's like, I guess it's all about perspective, They're like, yeah, Bez has this accent. And I was like, okay, then I guess so to your ears. But anyways, we've got Jim here. Jim, introduce yourself and tell us answer all 4 questions if you can remember.
I'll try. I'm Jim Fuse. I'm a retired Marine Lieutenant Colonel, live in Marietta, Georgia, a couple hours from Bez, depending on traffic. And I have a company, Fusion Marketing. I also am the co-host of a podcast/video podcast called Dealcasters that we're focused on Amazon as far as being Amazon influencers, but we stream to a lot of places. Of course, one of my favorite things to do, like Keith said, is Substack. And I've got, business goal, if you want to call it that, or maybe I'll give you my win first. So my wins, I've been having a few. One is that I found out in April, and you guys may be able to do this, you just haven't checked. I'm able to monetize my Facebook content. So anything I post on Facebook, picture of my grandkids, text post, if people like and react to it, I get paid by Facebook. So I'm making money from Facebook now, going on 3 straight months. And so that's been fun to do, and it's given me ideas for ways to repurpose content, like even taking short clips out of longer videos and doing that. And then my goal, I'd probably say by the end of this upcoming third quarter, is I will be releasing my first book, which is going to be called Lights, Camera, Substack. And it's basically going to probably start out as an ebook. I may make some hard copy books for people that either want to pay a little extra or as a thing I can hand out to people on how to use all the video aspects of Substack, both using the native features as well as using third-party tools.
Wow, that's I can't wait to get that book. And no, man, I've been seeing a lot of stuff you've been putting out on Substack. But interesting enough, I've been on professional mode, and then a few months back, someone subscribed to me, and I think out of the 99 cents, I got a percentage of that. And then I started seeing like, like $2, $3. Like, but I think, like you said, you post something, you're not thinking about making money, but you're making money on your post. And so, yeah, folks, just turn on professional mode. Is that what you did?
I did professional mode. And then the second piece that they don't tell you, this is what I found out from a friend of mine that I'm in a mastermind with, is in the app on your phone is where you may find that you can slide what they call content monetization on. So now I even get, it's kind of like they give you challenges, like post so many reels within this period of time and get so many views, and they'll give you a bonus of, in my case, I've gotten some $57 bonuses for posting so many reels in a week. So yeah, it's a nice little, I guess it's technically passive income, but you got to do the work to get the income. So it's not truly passive.
And it's Facebook only and not Meta. It doesn't include, yeah.
I think there's ways to do this stuff on Instagram too, but I've just been focused on the Facebook piece. And then, of course, because I am in the Amazon influencer program and have gotten enough followers, I'm also allowed to add Amazon links into my Facebook content. So, and it's actually part of the initial build of the post, not something I have to add in the comments.
Wow, that's interesting. Americo, I've done I'm mainly on now on Facebook, but I do hear others that are more on Instagram. You can actually do it, but they run different programs and then they shut them down. They run a new. So I haven't kept up with that. But if you have some IG friends that are really all about IG, they should be able to tell you. But Facebook, yeah, just start posting and be on professional mode, and you should be good to go.
Yeah, and you can do it with business pages. I just personally, I got away from being active with. I still have a business page, but it's that whole thing of, I feel like you get more exposure under professional mode, because even you got your friends and family, and of course then you get over. You can have all the followers you want. So I'm at, I think, 8,100 followers now. You can only have 5,000 friends on Facebook, so I've surpassed that. And who wants 5,000 friends? I think I've always found that funny. You would see these people that were, if you want to call it network marketers. They'll like add you as a friend, and then they would unfriend you if you didn't buy their product, because they were at that limit of how many friends they could have, because that's how they were communicating with their potential network marketing people. So I think the professional mode is the way to go, like you said, Bez, because it just gives you some other options to include analytics of how your stuff is doing.
All right. No, this is great. So let me see. Did you answer all 4 questions? Your name, where you're dialing from, what are you up to? What are you working on? And then the win. Did you get the win in?
The win was Facebook. Yeah.
Facebook. All right. Yeah. I don't know if I could call $4.63 a win, but hey, it's extra.
It's almost a cup of coffee, depending on where you go.
Yeah. And in some parts of Georgia, it actually might be a cup of coffee, depending how. And if you show up Wednesday mornings at 9:00 at the Bridge Creek Inn in Rabun County, in a small town called Clayton, we'll give you a cup or 2 of Joe for free. Just come hang out. It's called the 1 Million Cups, Northeast Georgia 1 Million Cups. So we're a chapter. So my name is BezR. I do executive search, working on a lot of CT technologist positions. So if you're a CT technologist and you want to hear about a great opportunity, I've got a really nice one that would be a nice lifestyle change for many of you. So if you're in the metro and you want to move to lakes, rivers, streams, and wonderful hiking, beaches, and quaint restaurants, blah, blah, blah. I got you. Okay, so reach out to me. So the other thing I do, career coaching, I am in, like I said, in Northeast Georgia. And so, I try to not tell everybody where exactly I live because, I just trying to hide from the FBI, here and there. So, but I think I slipped earlier, so you may know where I'm from. Just don't go back and listen to this video. But what is my win? My win is I'm grinding right now, and
you had a birthday. That would be a win.
That's right. I had a birthday. I went around the sun one more time, and I'm thankful for that, man. At this age, I'm a little bit above 50 cents. 57 cents, and I've seen friends of mine just pass away, and so knock on wood, tomorrow I'm still here. So I'm thankful, for people like Americo, Keith, and Jim, that we get to hang out and just talk because us dudes, we don't talk. In fact, this month is a lot about men's health, men's mental health themes, PTSD among the armed forces. There's a lot of mental health around men's mental health that's a focus in June. Jim, do you have anything to say on that? Because I know you're sort of a big advocate for that.
Yeah, I mean, PTSD, the veteran suicide is a huge issue, continues to be. And, so the biggest thing is just people, reaching out, getting help. There's lots of organizations, not only throughout the state of Georgia, but, in general, besides the VA that are helping people I would even say, talk to, the Veterans of Foreign War probably has a service officer that can help people, as well as the Disabled American Veterans and the American Legion. Those are 3 organizations that can help people find help.
Wow, that's great. I mean, we've got to learn to talk and connect, uplift each other. Especially as men. This month is a lot of a big theme around men's health, men's mental health, and so we got to highlight that. We can't be suffering in silent because we're used to, or we're brought up to carry the load and not talk about it. The women in our family are very good about talking about it, and talking with their friends, sharing their burdens. And us guys, it's not something that, at least I'm a Gen Xer, so, I don't know, maybe others have also do the same thing. We don't get out there and cry on each other's shoulders. And, maybe we don't need to be crying on each other's shoulders, but we at least need to be, just talking, man, because be surprised what we're probably more alike than not. And then we have similar triumphs, similar challenges. And so, yeah, it's nice. And I'll tell you real quick, in that is that we hold here in the city of Clayton in Northeast Georgia, we hold an entrepreneur meetup called 1 Million Cups. And it started sort of small, about a year and a half ago. And now we field about 35 to 40 people that show up every Wednesday. And we've had as high as over 50. But what we're starting to see is that entrepreneurship is a very lonely place to be. And a lot of people, we have a recent person that says, man, I've been grinding out for 6 years. I moved here 6 years ago. I haven't really lifted up my head and talked to anybody. And the guy's young, and, him and his wife just basically, it's mainly about them. And now he's become, not only come to 1 Million Cup, he's become a recent organizer, and he's just really happy to meet people and just quit just being alone and just grinding out. So it's, that's not good for mental health. I'll just tell you that. So get out there. Now everybody's different, because Keith will probably disagree with me, because we all do come from different places where we stand. And since we're talking about mental health, and that wasn't the goal of today, but Keith, is there anything, because you come at it from a different angle? I don't know if you want to share, and if you don't, that's okay. Yeah. We'll move on.
Yeah, I'm comfortable now with the label agoraphobic. Now, I'm not embarrassed by it, but it's not necessarily ideal. So that is what I'm afflicted with. I do have agoraphobia, and it's a lot easier to avoid going out than to force myself to go out. So I heard this really great phrase recently that every time I go out in public, the public is always there. Right, now that's a joke. Obviously, an extrovert would think that's pretty stupid. But as someone who doesn't like crowds, Melbourne has actually got 5.5 million people. We're bigger than LA. We're bigger than Sydney. We're the biggest city in Australia. And I just happen to hate crowds. So that's not a good mix. But I live an hour from the city, but 10 minutes walk to the beach. My wife, we're solid. No, we're solid. So we can walk along the beach and go and get a cup of coffee. We can say hello to the guy that serves us the coffee and get a sandwich and walk back. I can deal with that. But getting on a train and going into say, for instance, the Socceroos, they played on Friday. 4.8 million Australians watched that game. Most of them were at Federation Square. This big place in the city, right? Must have been 100,000 people crammed into the size of a football field. Now that's murder for murder. Like you couldn't pay me $100 million to go to that place. I wouldn't do it. It just freaks me out. But as a guy in his 50s-ish, I'm not embarrassed by that anymore. I was embarrassed about it because I thought, well, guys are supposed to be strong. But that's just what I'm afflicted with. That's my story this time around. That's the dose I got. Right. So rather than forcing myself to go into the city and pretend that I love it, I don't love it. But I can do it. So, for instance, there's this very, 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 very cool band called Jet. I don't know if you've heard of them. They were very famous in the noughties. Australian band. They lived in the next suburb to me. Very famous band. Sound a little bit like the Rolling Stones meets for Lenny Kravitz. Very cool. They had very big songs in the noughties. They've just reformed, and they're playing a gig. And we bought tickets. Carol came up because there might be a bit of a crowd. I said, "Oh, that's okay. There's a pub nearby. I'll have a couple of bourbons." So I'm going to challenge myself to go. I don't love it. I don't love it. But I'm going to challenge myself to go because we love going to see bands. I don't love being in crowds, but I think I can do it. And then when I get home, that's a tick. I did it. It's an achievement, like what you've just talked about, an achievement. Like you going into the city and hanging out in a crowd is not an achievement for you, Bez. That's a joy. This is murder for me, like murder. I'd rather cut my arm off. Please don't quote me on that. But the point is that I can do it if I really try. And for me, that's a win. Like in 2022, when we came out of lockdown, wifey said, "Oh, do you want to see Guns N' Roses at the MCG? There's going to be 100,000 people there. Do you want to go?" And my question was, "Do you want to go?" She goes, "No, I'm asking you first." I said, "Well, if you want to go, I'll go with you. But I can tell you what, I'm going to have to work up to it." So this was like July. They were playing in December. So every week for a year or 6 months, I went on the train one station closer to the city. Took me about 6 months to get to the city. One station, get a cup of coffee, tick, go home. Shit, I've been out of the house 3 minutes. I can't wait to get home. But it took me about 6 months, and I went all the way, because we're about an hour from the city, about 18 stations. Took me 18 weeks to get all the way into the city. And then I went to the MCG where they're playing, and I looked at that building and I said, I'm coming to see you in 2 weeks, and you're not going to get me. I'm not intimidated by you anymore.
I mean, I still have a business page, but it's that whole thing of, I feel like you get more experience.
And you're not wifey wants to go. I'm not intimidated by you anymore. What are you doing there, Bez?
Sorry, my Facebook refreshed and the stream came up and Jim was talking like he would have shut up.
I was like, what?
Sorry.
I'm like, what's that? I was trying to figure out myself what was going on.
So the reason I've said that, Bez,
my Facebook refreshed
and
and
I only shared that.
And Jim was talking like he would have shut up.
I was like,
hang on, mate.
You got to
okay,
mute your tab.
I fixed it. Okay. Go ahead. So you were saying about this. Yeah.
The reason I just shared that, which was a bit of a personal journey, is that you just said that it was Mental Health Month for men.
Yeah.
Now, when I went to counseling about this, because remember, we were locked up for 2 years. Like there's still Melburnians still can't leave the house. And people at the counseling session said, please, Keith, do not be embarrassed. There are people that can't even get out of the house. You're having a go. And I want you to keep having a go, because this is bad. This is really bad. And lots of people are still suffering. So I've documented that journey for all those people that are still stuck in the house. And there's plenty of them. So we went to Guns N' Roses. There was 100,000 people there. And I said to Carol, look, this is good. I didn't die. We went home. I celebrated. Didn't actually need any bourbon that day. I bought a T-shirt. And I thought, you know what? I did that. 12 months ago, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But I pushed it. And I guess mental health for men is this idea that it's not a shame. There's nothing to be ashamed about if you have an affliction, whatever that is. For me, it happens to be agoraphobia. So I'm just leaning into that. And that's become a part of my journey. Most guys are saying, mate, what are you talking about? Just suck it up. Come on, just suck it up. Have a few beers and go into the city, you pussy. What are you doing? That's how Aussies talk. So, but I just pushed myself. And now we go to concerts 3, 4, 5 times a year. As I said, we're going to Jet. We're going to Shinedown. We're going to another Foo Fighters. You know, these bands all coming to Australia again, and we're going. That wouldn't have been possible in 2022. And I wouldn't have mentioned that except for the fact that you said that it's Mental Health for Men Month, and men are infamous for holding it in until they just jump off a cliff or drive into a tree. Like they'd rather drive into a tree than talk to their friends. Right. And I don't want to drive into a tree. I mean, I've been married 37 years. Carol would miss me, and I've still got plenty of life to live. I'd rather just talk it out, even if I have to put my heart on the sleeve and feel a little bit like a dag or an idiot.
I just want to say thank you, Keith, for sharing that, because ever since COVID, I didn't know about this agoraphobia thing. But ever since COVID, I've ran into quite a bit of people that say they suffer from that. And I've learned something new. And I want to say kudos to you for just talking about it, because this is the whole reason of all the themes this month about mental health and men and our health, mental health is a health, right? You know, and it is something, why wouldn't we want to be aware of it, be open to discussing it, because health is health. There's no, you know, our mental state is part of our overall health, and just like our physical health.
Well, the thing that's really interesting about this is my counselor said, I want you to think about this concept called lamp posting. This is very, very, very important. Just go to the end of the street to the next lamp post, come back, shout yourself a coffee. You did it. You got out of the house and you went to the lamp post, right? which might have been 100 meters. Now, this is not a joke. This is exactly how it feels. I went out of the house. I went to the nearest corner. Came back. This is like July 2022, maybe. Then I thought, you know what? I'm going to walk to the station. It's a kilometer away. I don't have to get on the train yet. I'm just going to go to the station. Lamp posting. 1 step a day. This is why, as you know, Bez, I take every Thursday off to challenge myself. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So then the next week I got on the train and I went 1 station. 1. And I shouted myself a coffee and I came home. It was awful. Like, I mean, I was out of the house for an hour and I thought, oh, this is awful. But I did it. And over the course of 18 weeks, I went 1 station further until I got all the way into the city. And then I thought, wow, I did that. Some of the days I didn't want to do it and I didn't feel good. But I got home, I closed the door, made myself a cup of tea and congratulated myself. I'm the only one that wins here, but I win. It's my emotional health, yeah? And guys just will not talk about this shit.
Yeah.
You know, guys are infamous for not talking about this. So I don't mind being called a sissy because I'm still alive and I'm not going to jump off a cliff or drive into a tree. And I'm not joking. People do. In Australia, people have driven into trees because they don't want to talk to their friends.
I think that's the same everywhere. I mean,
is it?
Yeah, we have that happen here.
Well, is it? It's pretty bad, isn't it, with guys in general, but women as well. But we seem to be too embarrassed to talk about it, and we just seem to we hit right at the end where there's no hope.
Now we're being encouraged to talk about it, but let's pause here for a second and encourage those to listen, because listening is just as important. Because listening can be broken out into 2 lenses. You got Keith, who's sharing a story with us. Those who are listening will resonate and lower their barriers and level of comfort to also step forward and talk about. But then you have listening from the perspective of those who are on the outside looking in, who often ask us, hey, is everything okay? How you doing? And we're reluctant to let down our guard. Someone is seeing something that we either refuse to bring forward, to bring up, or to talk about. But we're giving off these signals where people who are genuinely worried and care for us and love us, they're asking, how you doing? Do you need some help? Can we help? Is everything okay? And those signals, let's all listen to them, because if someone's reaching out, we got to be comfortable lowering our barriers and accepting help when others are asking. So listening is important in multiple aspects.
Do you have Are You OK Day there? Is that an Australian thing or is that a worldwide thing? Have you heard of that? Are you okay?
No, we don't have that here.
But we have similar things, you know, like what we're talking about, mental, like there's different themes in the month of June around men and mental health, PTSD, awareness. So, I mean, I would say it's similar, but, you know, everybody calls it different. But America, I want to say thank you for sharing about listening. This is really a fascinating subject because, you know, when we got on this, I didn't think we were going to talk about this, but it's the theme of June and we're here. I just want to say that Keith or anybody on this stage, if we ever need to talk to somebody, we know that we can talk to one of us four here, right? And so, America, I love what you said about listening. We hope somebody out there it resonates with. Jim, I want you. What do you have to say around this? Because I know I've seen you active around this issue as it relates to people in the armed forces, and we're talking about it. Let's give you a voice here, and so we can listen.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is that whether you're, man or woman, you need to not be afraid to go talk to a professional. I think one of the things that happens a lot in the military, and maybe it happens in the corporate world as well, is people are afraid to tell people that they have a problem because they're afraid it's going to affect their career. It's going to affect their ability to advance. And so they will keep things hidden that end up actually causing sometimes bigger problems down the road, and sometimes very violent, sad outcomes because of that. So I think to me, the biggest thing is don't be afraid to seek help. I'm in some veterans Facebook groups, and every once in a while you'll have somebody, kind of do a reach out, like, hey, I really need help. And people like, hey, here's my number. Call me. Let's talk through this. And people will check up on folks if they can kind of figure out where they are. So I think, the biggest thing to me, it's more about, being, not afraid to talk about the issues and not feeling like, that you're alone, because there are people out there that want to help you. Yeah, and I love that too. It's a hand up, not a handout.
Bez, do you meditate, or do you know people that meditate?
You're muted, Bez.
I was listening with my mouth. There I do, and also prayer can be considered a form of meditation. Absolutely, I think I'm my dad was very private with his own spiritual journey, and I really liked the way he approached it. Very thoughtful, very private, not in your face unless you were talking things that didn't line up with the good book. Like he knew his good book, the Bible. So I'm sort of like that. I'm private too, but thanks for mentioning it. How is meditation played for you? And I think you practice Buddhism and something, so it sounds like it's helped you a lot.
Yeah, I'm actually officially a Buddhist. I actually did the ceremony in 2020. That is quite a process in the Tibetan tradition, like the Dalai Lama. But separate to that, meditation for me is this process every day of saying, well, how is the day going? What am I doing today? What's going on with me? Now, that can be normal, but sometimes when things are challenging, that space in your own brain to say, I'm just going to sit for 30 minutes, which does seem like a long time when you're suffering. What is it? Where is it? Now I know. And the reason why I say this is because Carol and I had a chat on the weekend about naming the anxiety. Carol's going through some changes at work, and we're in the retirement stage, so we're going through some different modes of being. And there's this nervousness about the future. And it's a generalized nervousness, just generalized. Don't know how to name it. But by meditating by yourself, without having to even tell anyone, your body says, your mind says, well, where is that? Now I know. That makes sense. I meditate every morning between 6:30 and 7 o'clock. Wifey leaves the house at 6:30. So every morning I meditate from 6:30 till 7. And sometimes it's just to set up the day. What am I doing? I've got a show tomorrow. I better prepare for that. But other times it's, where is that? What's that feeling? Where is that? I feel sad. Why do I feel sad? I don't know. Where's that come from? And just naming it and asking what it is. It's very powerful. And this is extremely powerful for people that don't feel like talking to other people about it, because we can heal ourselves. And the Buddhist tradition's very, very, very good at that. It's extremely good at that, separate to the religiosity, the philosophy of it. It's just very good at being centered and safe.
Yeah.
It's just a wonderful tradition. And as a result of that, I became vegetarian. And as a result of that, a lot of things have happened, and I'm a much more centered, that's the right word, I'm a much more centered person, which is why I was able to name agoraphobia as mine. I can claim it now. That's mine. That's my journey. That's what I'm here for to this time around, because we believe in reincarnation. So, this is what I'm here for. I'm here for that. And there's a very cool phrase in the Eastern tradition that says the obstacle is the path. This is very powerful, because instead of saying, oh, that's something I've got to do, oh, that is in the way, come on, I've got to do a couple of loads of washing, and I've got to go and do the shopping, and I've got to pick the kids up. The obstacle is the point. It's why you're here. So this took me a long time to get to this point, but my agoraphobia is who I am. It's not a problem to be solved. It's just my journey this time. Oh, and maybe I'll solve it, or maybe I'll get used to it. Never goes away. That really pisses me off, Bez. It never goes away. I can't take a tablet. You can't take Panadol for agoraphobia. It's not like something you can buy at the chemist. Imagine that. Look, I got a bit of agoraphobia. Can you give me a spray? Can I just get a couple of tablets I can take on the train and make the pain go away?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't take a tablet for agoraphobia. You just got to live with it. So meditating allows you to be strong, be courageous. I don't know if this makes sense, but it allows you to say, look, it's all right. It doesn't last forever.
I love where you've taken this, because you named it. I think, I also do career coaching, and one of the things, the first thing out of the gate is, I talk about the 7 stages of grief, and people go, well, why are you talking about it in careers? Because you're going through it right now. And they say, come again. And I'm like, look, anytime you change careers, that's a major stressor. Death, taxes, changing careers, moving, there's a list of them, right? And so when you lose a job or you're in transition, for whatever reason, you're grieving a loss. And sometimes it's you that, hey, it's like I had a friend that moved from a company that had been 20 years to a new one, and they were telling me how tough it was. And I said, you're grieving. You're grieving all the customs, all the what you did, and so it really affected them. And then it's okay to name it, but you named it. Jim's talking about people that he runs across that will name it. America is saying, hey, listen to the people that are naming it. And when I deal with people that are in careers and they don't think that they're going through the 7 stages of grief, I go, yes, you are. And it's not linear. There's 7 stages of grief. I mean, there's one that says 5 stages, whatever, but it is, as long as you can, like you said, name it, I say acknowledge it. Then at least when the feelings come and go, because they will come and go, especially, when you're in transition in your career, you at least know what it is, and you can account for it, because you don't want to account for it when you're, on prime time on your interview, and now you're going through, you got to already be able to recognize that it's there. You don't want it to affect your performance because it may, who knows how long it'll take you to get over that loss. And it took me a couple of years to not, when my dad passed away, to not be talking about my dad and immediately start crying. Yeah. Right. It took me 2 years, and someone told me, Bez, it's going to take 2 years. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It really did. And so everybody's different. Right. So I know we've been talking a lot about men's mental health, and I'm excited that we did. Keith, thank you for naming it. And I hope that whoever watches this or listens to this, that they feel encouraged to name it, acknowledge it, and go talk to somebody. So we don't ever get to that state as men or women, or however you identify yourself, to where we are no longer, here in front of our friends and family. But let me ask you this. Anybody want to say anything about this subject before we move on to the next? Any final words on this before we move on to some more, another piece of the conversation? Americo, Keith, Jim, any final words on this topic? Okay. Well, by the way, I appreciate all of you for acknowledging and saying something about it.
You are encouraging me to go live. I have the storytelling journey that goes out Thursday.
Okay.
And I know Thursday's already July.
Okay.
But I almost feel like there's an opportunity to bring more people to this conversation. So I might just do that. I'm going to reach out to Jay, who's my co-host, and let's have a talk. Let's continue this conversation because I'm sure there are people who have stories who want to share, and those who want to listen to other people's stories to build the courage to also step forward.
I'm glad we're, before we move on, Keith and I actually met somebody online in a virtual room that was attending actually his conversations and shows. And Keith, I know you know this person because we both became aware of the news. And I remember having, and I don't know if this was a year or 2 years ago, she had a conversation with me, requested a conversation, talk about careers. And that was July. And the conversation was very dark, extremely dark, that I felt so ill-equipped, but I had to ask, hey, do you feel like hurting yourself? Are you okay? Is there anything I can do? Like I really have never, ever in interviewing somebody about their career ever had to say that. But it was such a dark conversation that that's all I knew how to say. I was very ill-equipped. About the third week of August, I found out that she had decided to die by suicide. Okay. In the beginning,
life was just too hard, wasn't it, for her?
I don't know what was going through her head, but Keith, you and I have had interactions with her, and they were sort of pretty dark, and we were just, hey, just be careful, kid gloves type of stuff. And but it happened. It was a really, it shook me a little bit. It shook me quite a bit because I never had that happen to me. And I know there probably people who are listening to this said, oh, that's happened to me. Right. And it's okay that, at least, something I learned is that you don't say, I can't remember what's the old term, but now the proper way to say is that they died by suicide.
They didn't commit suicide. It's not a crime.
Yes. Don't use the word commit suicide because that has a different connotation. And we use it so nonchalantly, but it has significance, right? For people, for a lot of people. So the proper way, folks, is to say that if something like this ever happens, that person died by suicide. You don't know a lot of the things that go behind the scene on that person. And yeah, I'm not going to really go into this subject because this is very deep. And
the thing that was quite tragic about it is, first of all, this was a woman, and she was young.
Yeah.
So it's not the typical, I don't know for sure, but it's not the typical story you hear. you hear a lot about guys in their 50s driving into trucks and driving into trees because they've had a whole lot of build-up, but you don't hear a lot about young women. And that was the shock for me. Or maybe I don't hear about it, but maybe there's more common than we think.
Well, Keith, right now they have in Australia, you had to be of such age to be on social media. I think those numbers have changed because of cyberbullying and all the things that go on. You're seeing young kids die by suicide. So, and in Australia now they have a law. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, 16.
16 years old before you can be on social media. So, yeah, I know. So this has been a very fascinating subject. Are you guys open to lightening it up with another topic?
Yeah, we can move on. I'm happy to chat to people if they want to talk about this. We can do that privately, but we can.
Can they reach out to you?
Yeah.
What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Substack.
Okay.
Or LinkedIn.
LinkedIn?
Not everyone's on Substack, but 50 million people are. But if you're not on Substack, I'm open and I'm on LinkedIn every day as well.
All right.
Especially if you're from Nebraska, Indiana, Utah. What other states?
Mississippi.
Well, I shared in the private chat with you, Keith, a link to a search result for Nebraska. So there's several people there that
came up.
Came up. So that will work if you search by keyword location.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that feature. That's good.
All right. So, folks, we are going to talk. Well, I named this the Entrepreneurship AI Careers Conversation, but actually mental health actually touches all three of those. Okay. If you don't know about AI and mental health, actually the mental health profession actually embraces AI, but you would have to see that 60-minute segment that happened anywhere between a year and 2 years ago about how they embrace AI and why they embrace AI. So if you could Google it, and it's, I believe, on YouTube, you'll see it's a very fascinating doc, 60 minutes about how the mental health profession embraces AI. So, hey, mental health does touch AI. So one of the things that Jim was going to talk to us about, some updates going on in Substack and live streaming, StreamYard and whatnot. Jim, do you have some stuff to share with us?
Yeah, if you want, I can share it's about a 7-minute video on that I created. Let me
share away. We'll watch in wonder.
Right. Hopefully it will work. Here we go. I think this is what I want. Of course, now it's asking me all these questions it doesn't normally do.
Well, while you're queuing that up, I just want to say, okay, ready? Okay, Here we go.
All right, and so I'm going to bring this up, and then I'm going to hit play.
Substack,
we'll hear it.
StreamYard. So
I might have to unmute my
examples of using third-party streaming tools to up your video when you go live on Substack. And so to get started, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the create, and we're going to hit live. And so now this pulls us up in the Substack dashboard where we could actually go live in Substack on our web browser without using any other tools. As you can see, we can pick a lot of these things here, but because we're wanting to go with third-party software, we're going to go under this continue button and hit go live with StreamKey. So now that we're here with the go live with StreamKey, we are going to have a title. So I'm just going to call this test live with Jim Fuse, and you can see I can make this video for everyone, subscribers only, paid subscribers, my founding members, or I can schedule it for a future date. So if I do that, it'll give that time, and it's pretty much almost as soon as you're ready to go live. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and change it to, we'll just make it 1 p.m. today. And so then once we have our time set, we just click outside of that box. You can see the time has updated to this afternoon. And so then we can notify our subscribers by email to add this to their calendars, or we can uncheck that box if we don't want to do that. And we can also notify them by email when our live video starts. Since I'm kind of just doing a test, I'm going to uncheck that as well. And then we can invite a co-host. And so I had my friend Mitch Jackson was asking me about this. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you how we do that. So I'm going to go here. I type his name in. You can add multiple co-hosts if you want to. And so the advantage here is, even though we're going to use StreamYard, what this is going to do is when this goes live, this is actually going to push the live in Substack to their channel as well, without them having to do anything additional other than accept the invitation. So I'm going to go ahead and invite Mitch and generate the stream key. And so now you'll see that Mitch is able to do this as well. So I can let them do whatever they want with it. But you get a link to your stream here, which you can share out on social. But now we're going to show you how we're going to set this destination up in StreamYard. And so we're going to go here to StreamYard. We're going to go to destinations, and we're going to add a destination. So we're going to go to RTMP for other platforms. And now we need the URL and stream key from Substack. So you'll see here that I have this server URL and stream key. So first, I'm going to copy the URL, and then I'm going to go back over to StreamYard. I'm going to paste that here. This server URL never changes at this point in time for Substack. So this will always be the URL that will be pointed to. Now, the stream key that they're giving us is unique to this specific broadcast. So I can go ahead and put that in there. And then I'm going to give this a nickname, Substack test for live. And then we add that as a server. Now, just remember, it's good to sometimes give these a unique name, because I could come back in here on a future Substack destination and just change the stream key, as opposed to feeling like I have to set up a new destination. So you have those two choices: set up a new destination, or just remember you're going to change just the stream key on this, and you'll want to do that before you set up your broadcast scheduling in StreamYard. So now that we've added the server, now I can go to home. I'm going to go to live stream here in StreamYard. There is the Substack test for live that we just set up. So I'm going to go ahead and put here Substack test Jim Fuse live. And then I can also add multiple destinations depending on your StreamYard plan. And so I'm going to add my YouTube, and then I'm just going to say test of Substack live using RTMP. And then we can schedule this for later. We'll make that, and we'll go with the 1:35, just like we have over in the other one. Now, I didn't have a thumbnail, but I can, in StreamYard now, they have the ability to create one with AI. So we'll just do that to make things easier. And so there's just a simple thing. We're going to apply that, and we can choose to take the logo out or in. I'll just leave it in there for now. And we can even put a test, right, the time and date. So we're going to go ahead and apply that. So we have a thumbnail. Now, we can now customize this for each destination. And then what we'll do here, just in case I was going to do something with this, is I can make this private or unlisted. And then I can now create the live stream. So now that I've created the live stream, what I can now do is I can invite guests. And this is where I will invite the people, in this case, Mitch. I would invite him or any other guest I want to have using this link for them to come backstage in the StreamYard. And then when we go live through StreamYard, this is what will actually trigger Substack to not only go live on my Substack channel, but also Mitch's. So Mitch doesn't have to do anything else other than share with people that he's going live on Substack. And we've also will have that link, which I'll go over just to show you. This is the link right here to the stream. And so that's pretty much all you have to do to set things up with StreamYard and Substack in order to go live. Hope you found this helpful, and just let me know if you have any questions. Boom. There you go. And look, Mitch, you must have heard us. Good to see you. And you so tested helpful. It out and it worked, right?
So helpful. Jim, it was awesome. Thanks for your help. Definitely. This is awesome. Great. You guys it's like this subliminal. You talk about setting up StreamYard to Substack, and here we are. And Bez, it's been a long time. It's good to see you, buddy.
I know. Good to see you too.
So powerful. And I'm actually testing it right now, guys. So I might have a big show tomorrow, and I was just messaging Jim about that. So I wanted to make sure everything's operating, which is why I just jumped in to join you. Thanks for letting me know, Bez. How does my mic sound? How
Sounds
does my
great.
Video look? Am I okay?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So everything's firing on all cylinders. Yeah, Jim, that was so helpful because Substack is such a powerful platform. The way we're all using it in our own unique ways, and being able to leverage the different bells and whistles that we've all come to use and be accustomed to in Substack. I mean, right. In StreamYard over on Substack, it's like, wow.
Because like you saw, because I know you, like when you and Katie were on and you were just using Substack, it kind of challenges you a little bit with, how you can lay out the viewer, because, now as an example, because we're on this account, like I can make you the star of the show, right? I just put you in solo mode. We couldn't do that in Substack, right? We will continue.
Nor would you want to, Jim, to be honest with you.
So you get some of those features, right? And with Substack, you can create scenes, and then in here, but like I told you, and I don't know if you had a chance to look at the test you did earlier, your Substack live stream is still going to your back end in drafts where you can repurpose it there. So you don't even have to, download it, in StreamYard, or if I'm a guest and I have it go to my Substack, I've got it there. I don't have to say, hey, Mitch, can you send me that video file? I have the file. And I think that's really a powerful, thing for repurposing, because then you can create notes and clips and, share it on your other socials. But you'll have maybe a little bit more, graphic in a positive way presentation, because you're using StreamYard and can use some of those bells and whistles.
So Jim, since you're here, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
And is this being recorded? Are we?
It's live. We're actually
live, baby. We're live.
Yeah, no, that's great. Okay, good. No, I mean, because Jim was nice enough to help me, coordinate StreamYard with Substack. There were a couple of follow-up questions that I think everybody would be helpful and useful for everyone. One of the things you told me, Jim, was to monitor the live comments over on Substack in a different tab, like in my big screen right here, right, while I have the live show with StreamYard. That's invaluable advice. Thank you for sharing that with me. I did, when I tested it out this evening, though, or this afternoon, I had a question. I think I figured it out. And that question is, when I'm setting this up in Substack, let's say we're doing a show tomorrow at 10 in the morning, my time, right, Pacific. So I set it up in Substack. I don't have to schedule it in Substack.
You don't.
In other words, I set it up and I grab the key.
Yes.
Then I go over to StreamYard, set up my show, add that special key into the show. And that way, when I go live on StreamYard, it then broadcasts over to Substack, and depending on the settings I've selected, also notifies my followers or my subscribers, depending on the settings. Is that the correct way to look at this?
That's absolutely the correct way. In fact, sometimes I think it's almost easier to do that than it is to try to do the whole scheduling thing. Like, hey, I've got the key, I'm ready to go. When I'm ready to go live, I've already got it set up for that specific episode, because like I know you were talking about with what you're trying to do tomorrow, you're not exactly sure of the exact time. So rather than messing with the time, hey, I've got Substack set up. It's going to email my subscribers when I go live. And even by you promoting in general, or even sending out an email to your subscribers that, hey, I'm going to be going live, as soon as we hear this incident, activity happens. Yeah, that I've found that sometimes is just as helpful and useful. And I think you can still, even doing that, you can still invite the co-host. Right, you just aren't scheduling it. So that's one of the things I think that is a nice little feature.
Am I inviting the co-host? Would it
if they're on
to do it through
Substack?
StreamYard?
If they're on Substack, you can add them as a co-host. Otherwise, you're just inviting them backstage, and it's only going to go to your Substack.
The advantage to adding them as a host in Substack would be it then pushes to their audience also.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And
so when you and Katie were live, that was on both your Substacks at the same time.
Oh, Katie Couric.
Yes.
I was like, Katie, which Katie are we talking
about?
Yeah,
you and her.
Katie. No, I actually thought you were talking about somebody else.
No,
well, that was
Katie
them doing
Couric,
it, but that was them doing everything at their end.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And so the advantage for anyone listening is if you have someone who's going to be a guest or a co-host with a large audience on Substack, you probably want to add them as a co-host within Substack, even though you're not scheduling it in Substack to go live. You're doing that over on StreamYard.
Right.
And the reason I'm bringing this up is when I was trying to test it tonight, LinkedIn doesn't allow you to go live to its platform
without an event now.
Right. Well, 15 minutes prior.
Right. That too.
So we're waiting for the Supreme Court case to drop tomorrow or Tuesday. And once it drops, we're going to need an hour to review the decision and analyze it. And then we're going to go live. So it's really not something we can schedule. And these are the little things that really do make a difference when someone's trying to figure this stuff out. And so that's why I really, geez, you probably have a couple hours of free legal advice.
Well, hey, Mitch, I want to, because we were talking about you that you've grown your, Jim was saying that your Substack has grown, and I know Keith, Americo, and Jim, like I'm probably the least one that uses it, even though I've been on it for years when it was really clunky, but never did anything with it, and I've been wanting to. But tell us, where are you at with your Substack? How many people? I saw you had interviewed Katie Couric the other day, and so tell us what's gone on with your Substack. And I think give us some statistics. Tell us something that inspires us. Like, hey, we got to start our Substack.
Well, I can tell you, it's now my favorite platform other than LinkedIn. So we've all been on, digital and social for 15, 20 years. These different platforms. Is this a show you guys are doing? Is this something that entrepreneurship and AI and careers conversation?
You know what? I just threw that up there as a title. We actually spoke for about an hour about mental health, and we're like, well, I didn't know this is sort of ad hoc. So just keep go down the path you're going down. You're good.
Yeah. No, thanks for inviting me. This is cool because it does give me a chance to actually walk my talk and kick tires. I am all in on Substack. So this is just something that's really been unique. All the things that we've been doing on the different platforms, I think, apply to Substack as far as engagement and participating in the comments and liking other people's remarks and really spending time hitting that alert button. And that's how I use Substack on my desktop, because it took about a week to get comfortable with the way the platform's laid out for me. But you hit that alert button a couple of times a day, and it lets you know who's commenting, who's sharing, who's restacking, which is like resharing. And where it's appropriate, you have the option to like, to reply, and just engage with your audience. And what I've noticed is that's something that works really well on Substack. If you're in the right community, you're in there with people that share a similar, interest in what you're talking about, and everyone's looking for conversation. So I think with Substack, that works really, really well. Engage, participate, like, ask questions. That seems to work really well, Bez. And to answer your question, so for me, I started my Substack on or about February 14th, 2026 or 2025. Okay, we had just gotten back from Amsterdam family trip. I jumped on. So February of 2025. Today we're up to someplace around 14,000 subscribers, something like 17 or 18,000 followers, which is a little different metric.
Mm-hmm.
And a really, really interesting, encouraging, and exciting paid group of subscribers on the platform.
And to give a shout out to Mitch, he's number 23 rising in U.S. politics.
What
Substack.
The heck, man? That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so what I've done, Bez, to answer your question, is I've just spent first thing each morning, I'll jump on and see what's going on, hitting that alert button. What I've noticed is after I post, we're repurposing the post on the other platforms. I think that's important because Substack tells you, today you brought in 115 people from Facebook. Today you brought in, 220 people from LinkedIn. So people on other platforms are coming into Substack, people who, are resonating with whatever your message might be. So, repurposing content. When we do post, and here's something that someone else told me, and it works really well. When you post on Substack, people can make comments. For anyone watching that's not used to Substack, if you go back in every couple of days and check your comments on older posts, you're going to see that people are still engaging on those older posts. You can go in and reply and have conversations with these people, even though your post is, a couple of days old or a couple of weeks old. So once you post, don't forget about it. Come back in. It's very easy because Substack's algorithm is sharing that out. And people are like really talking about things that you might have, wrote an article about last month or last year. And I shared something yesterday about a particular topic that I had written about a year and a half ago on Substack. And I went back and I liked the article, but I didn't get any traction. I had probably 20 views, 10 likes, no comments. And I took it and I kind of repurposed it and sent it back out yesterday morning, and it exploded in a good way. Like it was important to me. So I wanted to repurpose the article because that's how I feel about a particular issue. And which kind of reminded me, hey, listen, we might have some content that we put out that didn't initially get traction, but it might not have been the right time or the right place.
Mitch, have you done, because I know I do this occasionally, like you can go not only your own post, / articles, because we always get into that, what to call things. And I can take like a paragraph or a couple lines out of your post and then make that a note that then if somebody reads it, it takes them to the full article. I don't know if you've
such
played
a great
with that
technique. Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up because one thing that's working well for us is after we do a post or an article, what we then do is we almost within 15 or 20 minutes take that and then share it to the notes. And now it's in our notes feed. It's the same image, although you can change the image. You can change the content and the hook and the tease a little bit if you want to. And we're noticing a completely different group of people seeing the post for the first time in the notes feed as opposed to a subscriber to the email list.
Right.
So yes, Jim, that's a great tip that I think helps everyone amplify, their newsletters and things like that.
Keith Keller has a question around quote notes. I think that's what you're talking about. Keith, could you ask Mitch or Jim your question?
Yeah, well, Jim actually told me about this feature, and I'm jokingly called this a quote note because it's a note with a quote in it. I thought that was, I don't know if anyone else uses that phrase, but the thing that's very, very, very powerful about quote notes is that you send a note and your followers get your note. Your subscribers only get your followers don't get your articles.
Correct.
So when you do an article, you send it out, only your subscribers get it via the email. That's one of the advantages of subscribing. But followers who are a little bit less convinced that, you know, this is worth it, they get the notes. So if you send a note for every post you've got, all of your followers are getting it as well. So what I do is I post maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I've got 118 articles now. I look for articles that are somewhat related to the article I've just written, created, and then I look and I post those. So for instance, today I created a post called "Why Creators Who Avoid Video Are Flocking to Social Audio," because we know for sure that about 25% of people want to listen to content, and probably about 75% of people just do not want to go on camera. Right?
I think it's higher than that.
It might be. It might be higher than that. It's probably higher than the fear of flying. But, you know, most people just do not want to go on camera, and some people just will not. So what I do is I'm embracing those people. I am your friend, and I am saying, look, you don't have to go on camera. Come to my show with your thumbnail. So that was today's show. Why creators who avoid video are flocking to social audio. Right? But I've got another article that's live streaming versus podcasting, which is easier. That came out about, I don't know, a month ago. So that's a sort of related post. And it's February 22nd it came out. So that sits underneath. And there's then suddenly you've got a little stream. You're talking about social audio, and then you're talking about podcasting, and then I might send an article about mics, and then I might talking about something else. So these quote notes, they're unlimited. You can do them like 10 times a day. It's a very good additional strategy. Are you doing this, Mitch? Are you doing the? And hello, I don't know if we've met. My name's Keith. I'm in Melbourne, Australia. I'll just send you an invitation on LinkedIn. But are you using quote notes?
I am. I'm using them with our content and also to highlight other people's content. You know, I like to shine a light on as many other people as possible, Keith. And but to your point, I think however we're going about sharing content, whether it's ours or someone else's, if you share valuable content with the right people, you know, your people, your community, in your case, those people that really enjoy audio, I think that's where the connections are made. And I will also say, whatever topic any of us are building out our expertise on Substack, you know, you've got the same 20, 30 questions that you're asked all the time, right? Or the same 10, 20, 30 trending topics or breaking news stories in your particular niche. And what I've noticed is when I'm on the other platforms, somebody asks a question, if I've already written about it on Substack, I'm definitely saying, hey, you know, Bez, Keith, that's a great question. I wrote about that last month. Here's the link. And it's bringing people from my other platforms over into Substack to get, you know, the answers to their questions, but also it starts that relationship dance. And I also think that for those of you that are building out a paid subscription element to Substack, which I think is really, really cool, I've been playing around for the last year and a half with how I'm doing that. And what I've noticed is down at the bottom of each newsletter, in addition to just including the subscribe button, what we've been doing is modifying and customizing that button to things that say something like support, upgrade, paid, / right? Because if it's going to an existing free or paid subscriber, most of mine are free. I want them to know that if they click, they've got access to some additional benefits. They're already subscribed, so why would I ask them to subscribe again? And the other thing we're doing is, you'll see at the bottom of most of my articles, and this is working for me, and that's why I'm sharing it with you, is we have a 2-sentence call to action. And so I'll go into, I like using Claude, and I'll go into Claude and I'll say something like, based upon the theme of this article, write a 2-sentence call to action, doubling down on XYZ, whatever that point in the article is, and requesting, someone to subscribe to the free or paid Uncensored Objection newsletter, something like that. It puts together a really clean, killer 2-sentence blurb, which goes beneath my signature line. And then beneath that is the subscribe button that I modify. I've noticed when I play around with that, the paid subscriptions go up with each newsletter, as opposed to just using a button. So you asked me that, Bez, and that has made a difference. That little call to action at the end.
Bez is all smiles.
I love it. I love it because
this
is even people listening to this, they can get some big a lot of value just out of those tips. Because I noticed something you do, Mitch, is like you tease an article on your LinkedIn, because that's where I'm mainly at, LinkedIn. And then but you just sort of give the first few and you tease it, but in order for someone to read the whole article, they have to go to your Substack. How's that working?
Well, it's worked unbelievably well. When I jumped on Substack, my LinkedIn, I don't know if it's, I guess, followers. What's the number on LinkedIn? Your connections?
Yeah, you have connections and followers, right?
I mean, whatever that number is on the bottom of your profile was something around 4,000 to 5,000 for 10 years, right? And I thought I was putting out some really good content from a lawyer's perspective, unique stuff. Once I started doing what I'm just told you I've been doing since February 2025, it went from 4,000 to today, we just crossed like 24,000 or 25,000. Yeah, it's right there underneath my profile. And so I'm writing about, some people may say some controversial topics on LinkedIn. I don't think they are. I think business and politics do go hand in hand. And I've got a voice and I'm going to use it. And what I noticed was when I gave myself permission to talk about what I wanted to talk about, guess what? I started connecting with a lot of people. A lot of people felt like I do about some things. And the LinkedIn community just exploded. And it's because of doing what you just said, Bez. It's taking probably 90% of my Substack post and then repurposing it over on LinkedIn with the image, and then putting the URL in the comments as opposed to in the LinkedIn post, because I guess the algorithm doesn't like that. And then making a point on LinkedIn to really spend time diving in and engaging in the comments and answering in the comments. And for me, people know it's safe in my comments because I don't put up with any nonsense. If somebody comes in and starts talking about a topic in a way that just doesn't fly with me, they're gone. Like it's not a community where I want to hear a certain element. I could care less what they have to think about a topic that I write about. And I'm just going to keep it general like that. And Mitch, so they're gone. They're gone.
You and I had that conversation a couple months ago, and I've definitely taken that approach. It's like if somebody's going to be whatever you want to call it, troll, they're gone. I don't have to give them their time. It's like delete the comment, block them. If it's inappropriate, even report them to the platform, whether they do anything about it or not. I think that's important. And I've been doing.
Your community appreciates you for that. You're giving them a safe space.
Yeah,
but it takes time, Jim. It takes time.
I want to say something so that what you're talking about, it's interesting because I'm going to talk about it because you're taking politics and bringing it together. You're finding, success.
Okay, you brought up the P word. I mean.
Okay. So the B and the P word. Okay. So, so I'm going to talk about how people sometimes they don't even engage and they lurk. So somebody I know, chief marketing officer, traveled the world, was in transition, had just come back from Europe, working for some major brand corporations, and was in transition. And we started talking about LinkedIn, and then she came in later and shared with my cohort, because I asked her to come in because she shared a story with me and said, oh, this needs to be heard. So she said that she put up a shingle for her consultancy, that was separate from her, so it was a page, a LinkedIn page, and it was, and of course she had a personal profile. And so she made the commitment to post once a week from her personal profile and once a week from her LinkedIn page, right? And so she would talk about her expertise in marketing and would put a good thoughtful piece together twice a week. Out of the blue, a CEO of a company reached out to her and said, hey, how are you doing? And come to find out, they both went K through 12 together years ago, right? Years ago. And then after high school, they went to different colleges, then went their separate ways, did the career thing. The guy, she became a CMO, he became a CEO. And he reached out to her and they started talking and said, every week when you release content, I print it up and I take it to my executive team and we talk about it.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's impressive.
Now, she said that he ended up bringing her in to do as a fractional and do some work, gave her a project. When she spoke to my cohort, she said that as of that day, they had given her 3 additional projects and she hadn't even finished the first engagement yet. And then she ended up by saying this, not once did he like or comment on any of my posts.
Yeah.
But you know what? She got something pretty nice out of it. And the guy was printing it up. How low tech can you go? You're printing it up, going to your executive team. You're not saying, hey, let me email you. Let's put it on our iPads. Let's airdrop it. No, they were printing paper and never once lurked. So to your point, you can have growth or meaningful growth out of a vanity metrics that doesn't mean anything, especially if you're in the business to get business. And you can actually, you just never know who you're impacting. Because I saw a post of yours where people are coming in private to you and saying, hey, I can't do what you do, but I really appreciate what you do. You put a voice to some of us that are actually up there in their careers, so they're a little bit hesitant to get out there, but you provided that voice. So I want that, I think, does tie in together how you're growing and how somebody that not even the CEO engaged on their content, but still was able to come in and do business because they really were engaging. They were just printing it up and going. So both of you guys are having impact. I don't know if any of you guys want to comment on this phenomenon, but people are watching.
Well, I will say what Mitch is doing with LinkedIn, and I guess you're probably doing similar, Nick or Mitch, with the newsletters. I will take any of my posts that I do on Substack, like even the one I just did about StreamYard. I'm going to make that an article, but I never share the video on LinkedIn. I make them go to my Substack or my YouTube if they want to watch the video. So near the end, it's like, if you want to see the video of how this works, this is where you go. And because even though I probably have, but of course my Substack keeps growing, I probably have more quote unquote subscribers on my LinkedIn newsletter. It goes back to the personalization isn't there, because we all get this, so-and-so just published a new LinkedIn newsletter, as opposed to getting a title that is going to get their attention and hook them. Because even using something like Claude, you can say, hey, Claude, give me an email title that's going to catch people's attention. And the fact that you can then have individual replies and you're building a list. I'm always encouraging people, go to Substack. I mean, it's just, it's a different world. I mean, the guys I'm fans of, the Category Pirates, right? They call it, it's not social media, it's a direct to creator platform. And I think that's where it's different.
Americo, I wanted Americo. I know you're using Substack and you're using the school. How's that going for you? Are you messing around with Substack, or maybe not so much? You have anything to say around that?
So I will advocate and coach around a 3-platform framework: LinkedIn, Substack, and YouTube. And I'll stream across all 3 and repurpose across all 3 in different formats. So after each live, all the on-demand and recorded content, I push my call to action to go watch, listen over on YouTube. Substack is where I will push out the long form content. And then I'll just go to LinkedIn, shorter articles, short content, and pushing and pointing people to Substack or YouTube. So the 3 of them are always pointing to the other 2, and it seems to work really well. Now, I did have a question for both Mitch or Jim about repurposing. We know and we appreciate what Substack does for creators. We can push and repurpose inside the native Substack platform. We can push to YouTube, we can push to Blue Sky. There's a whole list of platforms we can push to. Is there an advantage to repurposing in the platform opposed to going directly to LinkedIn and hyperlinking, taking the long way around repurposing?
I personally think that whenever you can take a piece of content, especially if it's video, and whether you want to use the captions or not from the Substack platform, when you upload native video to any other platform, which means you're downloading, like say your Substack piece, you're going to get better reach because they don't like links. They're punishing us for links on these other platforms. So that's why I like Substack, because they'll give me everything I need to make that post on the other platform, as opposed to just sending the link. So that's how I look at it. I don't know, Mitch, if you think differently or have some other thoughts on that.
Yeah, my mindset, my AirPods are running out of juice. So if I get cut out, I'll say goodbye now, but hopefully I'm going to recharge. So I have a slightly different mindset in that the Substack community is completely different than anything I've seen on the other platforms. I don't know if it's because it's new to people, or people feel like we have some independence there and we're not having to rub elbows with certain billionaires that own and manage other platforms. I don't know what the dynamics are, but I do know that it's just a different experience. So to your point, I'm trying to keep that community within Substack when I can. That's where I want to continue building my community. But I'm also noticing that there are other people just like us here tonight who are looking, maybe they're on LinkedIn, maybe they're on Facebook, maybe they're on Blue Sky, maybe they're on Threads. They're looking for something better. They're looking for something different. And so if I can somehow share something relevant with them on Threads that will bring them over into my Substack community, and then once they're there, not forget about them, but really make a point of, commenting on their content and repurposing it and resharing, whatever I can do. That's kind of where my head's at right now. It's like, that's the community I really want to build. The other ones, even though I've got some nice communities that are built out, not a priority at all, but Substack is. And I think the live video component, why I reached out to Jim late last week, is a nice way to complement what's going on Substack. Look, one reason Katie Kirk reached out to me on Substack, got up on a Monday morning, there's a message, right? We'd done a show years ago together, but other than an occasional DM, we really haven't kept in touch, was because I was that new lawyer on Substack that had just written a post about a topic that her team found interesting and she wanted me to talk about. And so it's not because they saw me post something on Blue Sky or Threads or LinkedIn or Facebook. It's because they're on Substack as independent journalists. That's where they're building out their world right now. And guess what? That lawyer that wrote that article that resonated with somebody, that's where I was too. And so it got me on that show, which then once again creates interest, engagement, and followers and all that kind of stuff. So I think there's a reason why you see a lot of heavy hitters, especially people that like to write and create, whether you're in the news, politics, comedy, whatever it may be. I think, seeing them come over to Substack, there's just another dynamic that these other platforms aren't offering. And so I'm trying to keep the attention there. But I also know there are some, the gentleman that will be my first guest as soon as the Supreme Court case comes down is going to be Ty Cobb. You guys all know Ty from his appearances on television every night. He was White House special counsel at one time. And guess where we met? We met on LinkedIn. Commented on some of my posts, okay? And we started that relationship. And he's also on Substack, and he's building out his Substack community. But it's because of that LinkedIn relationship that's going to result in my first Substack video with him, which should be probably a fairly popular show. And so it's just a matter of, I think, intentionally working the relationships and the people you find interesting, and then bringing them over to the platform that you should probably be on. Back in the day with Jim and I, it was probably the early days of Spreecast or Blab or Periscope or whatever these early video platforms were that we were on. And you just keep nurturing, you keep learning, you keep developing, you keep building these relationships until good things happen. So I don't think I really answered your question, but
no,
you kind of a mindset.
You did well. It is a two-part question. I know where Keith sits on it. He has shared his best practices. Now I'm curious to see if both yourself, Mitch, or Jim, you hold different best practices when it comes to repurposing your actual Substack. You touched on reviving something that perhaps didn't work well 6 months ago, a year ago, and you brought it back to life. You revived it. Now, are you editing it and giving it new titles, reframing it, or are you deleting it and rewriting it, giving it a fresh publication?
So the article I dropped yesterday, basically it's the same article with a new title, I believe. It may have had a different updated picture. I really don't remember, to be honest with you. I've got a lot going on, but I always will re-edit things. I will always add new footnotes and updates because I'm writing about legal tips or legal stories and breaking news. Things change, okay? And so what I do is I'll go back into a prior post and I'll update it. Update as of June 28th, 2026. This is what just happened. Or I'll add a footnote. So it's kind of a living, breathing Substack. That makes sense. So I have no problem with changing anything or updating anything. I don't work for Substack. I don't work for anybody that's following me. If I want to change something, I change it. If I see a mistake, I fix it. Or my team helps me do it.
I think
up in that.
Yeah, and I think, Mitch, to your point, I had done an older article about third-party streaming probably like last year, but because things had changed so much and you had a specific question, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a whole new article. But now that you make me think about it, I could go into that original article and even add a line or something like, hey, I did an update specifically for this platform. Here's a link to it. But the other thing that I've done with my Substack publication is they give you the ability to create sections. And so the sections can be specific categories. So one of mine is like how to go live on Substack. Well, all the articles I've ever written are on that, and that can be its own subscriber list. So now, like you said, Mitch, if somebody says, hey, I want to know how to go live on Substack, I could say, hey, here's a link to all the articles I've written on the topic, as opposed to, let me go find that one article. So I think that for me has been a big thing that I like about Substack, is the ability to get more creative in how we organize our older content. Mm-hmm. And then I'm with you, Mitch. My number one platform of choice is Substack.
and I'm using the others to really try to feed it. And then I'm really using even a lot of my YouTube videos outside of what me and Chris do with Dealcasters are more about like how to do things on Substack, with the idea people will go from YouTube like, oh, this is something I need to check out, because I think there's still obviously a ton of people that don't understand the power of it. And I equate notes, and Mitch, I know you were big on this back in the day. I don't know if you still use it a lot, but notes to me is like old Twitter. And that's what I like so much about notes, is because the restack is the retweet, but we're not limited to 240 characters. We can upload video. We can post the same notes if you wanted to every day. You can schedule them even. And nobody's going to say, well, wait, you just put that. Nobody cares, right? It's we've gotten over that. You can only post something once. So I think, like you said, taking something that's older, because the person that just started following you or subscribed to you on Substack wasn't on there 6 months ago, so they haven't looked at your older stuff.
So
really good points. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go, Bez, in a few minutes. Hey, can I just share a couple thoughts that?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so what you did with my question, I thought was brilliant, and I reached out to Jim privately last week about a live streaming question, because he's my go-to guy. And rather than just emailing me back, and I was like, I wonder why Jim's not emailing me back. I'm like, he must be busy. He must be at a ball game or something, right? But what he was kind enough to do and smart enough to do is he created that video that I guess you guys just watched. And that video explained everything that I needed to know, but it also explained the same answer to everyone else in the community that probably had a similar question. I then took that and I reshared it in my notes, which has a lot of people engaging and watching and reading. I've had people privately reach out, hey, Mitch, thanks for sharing that note. I was wondering how that worked, right? And so it's like, there's a strategy to how you repurpose. The other thing that's working really well for us is, let's say I write a post about, and this will apply to everybody, and this works really well. Let's just say I write a post about something I see in the news that has to do with equal rights or due process or whatever the issue may be. So I write a Substack about it. Then what I'll do is, as the week progresses, if I see a news clip of somebody talking about that on TikTok, or if I see something on YouTube that they're sharing their take, a similar take on the same topic, I'll drop that into my notes feed. Hey, great take, check this out. And then below that, I'll say, I did a deep dive on my article last week titled XYZ with the link. And then in the notes, it'll promulgate the images to your post. And so oftentimes I'll delete that because I want them to see the video that I'm sharing. But if the reader wants to do a deep dive on what they watched in the video, then they have access to my prior post. And so by sharing other people's content that relates to something I've written about, that's my favorite way of reposting right now. And I think these other people, Liz Oyer, who does a lot of political legal commentary, and everyone should follow Liz. She's amazing what she's putting out there. I started doing that with Liz's videos, and I didn't know Liz when I was doing this, but I was impressed with her content. And now we're communicating. She's going to be on the show, right? We're communicating in the back messages of Substack. And so to Jocelyn's question on repurposing content, I'll do a post, and then for the next week, I'll repurpose 3 or 4 clips of other people or other posts relating to mine, and then kind of cross-referencing them. And I think it's kind of cool because you're adding a new perspective to something you wrote, and you're shining a light on other people because it's good content. And I think other good people appreciate that. They don't take it for granted. And I think what goes around comes around, and that's what's been working for me on Substack. So, yeah.
I think that's awesome, cool. Mitch. I think that's a great idea. And also to her question, I mean, I would say I do my own stuff a few times a week, but I'm more likely to take somebody like Mitch or someone else's content and restack the quote, or quote stack, as Keith called it, because I want to shine the light on other people. And I think when you help other people, they're going to help you.
I think so too. I got to run, you guys.
Hey,
Thanks for
Thanks for
stopping
letting
by,
me come into your sandbox and play for a little while. This was awesome.
yeah.
Take care, Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch. And yeah, I wanted to have Americo and Keith answer the question, about repurposing, so we can close out Jocelyn's question. But thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Jim, for sharing. How about you, Americo? How about you, Keith? How often do you repurpose your content?
Well, I'm now finding myself with more content than I know what to do with, and I encourage everyone through the, I guess, the blessing of live conversations when they happen in real time, they have a tendency of opening up doors and creating so many facets that you can go down. And to answer Jocelyn's question, I once started with one live conversation would end up with one long form article or blog on Substack and an article on LinkedIn and a few shorts. Now I find myself notes. I find myself using notes to give longevity to the long form content. So one conversation can easily find, in some shape or form, a short video clip, a short note, or an article. I will lean into that once a day. So I'll get a week, and if I want to, I can stretch it out so that one show, one conversation can give me a couple of weeks to up to a month of content easily. That's how easy it's become. But I also don't want to inundate and bore people. I want to keep things kind of moving along. So I'll try to cap it off up to seven times. I'll repurpose it, and maybe a few months down the road or a year down the line, I can now revive it. And that's what I'm doing. I love the question, because that's what I'm doing with YouTube. I'm now taking videos from a year ago, and I'm using examples for my school community, how to revive your YouTube videos. I look back and I have a good chuckle. It's like, wow, look how far we've come with what we put out a year ago. But these are still lessons. These are still valuable messages that are still relevant to listeners, viewers, and readers. So I'm repurposing, recreating thumbnails and descriptions to give them a new life and see if we can bring more people into the conversation.
Thank you for sharing that. Keith, how about you on the repurposing? And don't let me forget about video repurposing. I just became aware of a new tool out there. So Keith, yeah, how does it go with your repurposing? How often?
I want to actually throw back to America. We actually did a show on school on Thursday. We did the social audio sound check on school, and we chatted for 2 hours, as you know we can, and we are. And America got 12 distinct topics from that process, and I was a bit amazed. He sent me the transcript, and I punched it into Copilot, and there was 12 separate topics, one of which I did a blog about today. So before I talk, I want to throw back to America. This is a really important hack. How did you do this, America? Because I want to learn how to do this.
How did I do? What exactly would you like me to share?
You got the transcript from Substack, and we got 12 separate pieces of content from that. Let's talk about that process.
Well, I start off with a prompt that just asks Copilot, or sometimes ChatGPT, whichever AI agent you're using, just ask it to analyze it. Just take a look and tell me what you see taking place in the conversation, and it'll categorize it. It's like, all right, so now we have all these talking points. Now it becomes, it gives me clear visibility as to how I can either break it up or position it as a summary. Here's what took place, here's what unfolded, and create different sections within Substack. That list that I get back from my query now gives me the opportunity to break it into short form content, into short video clips. Because it's a real live conversation that took place, none of it is being, I say, written exclusively by AI. It's transcribing, and I ask it to use my brand voice, write it in the first person, and then I will go in and edit it and give it its final touch so that it actually reads as I would if I were writing it from start to finish.
It's very cool. Like we chatted for 2 hours, Bez, on Thursday on school. Very cool conversation. We got 12 pieces of content from that, which I'm still working through today. To the point of how often do you repurpose? I launched a new blog post, right, about the idea that if you hate going on camera, I'm your man, because I hate it too, and I'm with you, and I'm not going to be dominated. We won't be beaten, So there's a song in that. There's a whole series of songs about that. So I'm not going to get told what to do. I don't like video, and I'm not doing it. And about 25% of other people say that. But I want to share this particular strategy, which might be useful to people on Substack, and especially a brand new site which we found called Savannah Bay. This is so powerful. So when I do my blog post, we got a caller. When I do my blog post, I put it out, and then I check on Savannah Bay, which gives me a score out of 100 for SEO. Right? I do the blog post with what suits me and what looks natural to me, and it gives me a score out of 100. Now, usually straight off the bat, I might get 60 or 70, and it gives me some suggestions. So I make those changes, and then I put the blog out, and then about an hour later, I know this is a very advanced strategy, but it does work. About an hour later, I just check how it's going. Substack gives you very, very, very good stats. And sometimes it flatlines after about an hour. So I might change the title, or I might rewrite the intro, or I might add a new graphic. So for me, repurposing often means redoing the same article with a better graphic, with a better headline, with more better keywords. Does that make sense, Bez?
Yes, it sure does. No, I love what you're saying. I'm going to tell you something, because I really haven't started my Substack journey, even though I have a Substack. And I think I published one thing, and it doesn't look like some of you guys that have a really polished Substack. So, but things are changing in Substack. I'm here like, whoo, all this information. All of you guys are using Substack. You know what I want one of you to do? I want one of you to have a one-page infographic that tells me what are the different things in Substack land that are as of July the 1st. Like because I know it's going to change July the 2nd.
I don't think you can put it in one page, because it all depends on what area you're diving into. I mean, because even as an example, like I said, I've got a draft of a book just about the video piece of Substack that's going to cover, that's at least 50 pages. Okay. So you're telling me to do something in one page. I just don't think it's possible.
Let me ask you this. Could you do an infographic visual layout that has the things that Substack does, so that we can later go down a rabbit hole? Like,
well, I guess the question would maybe be better, and Keith in America, maybe you have some thoughts. What doesn't Substack do that you need it to?
Yes. Let's start there.
Well, I don't care about what it doesn't do. I'm trying to figure out.
Well, you should.
No, basically, Bez, if you want anything is in your brain, you can do on Substack. Anything.
Oh.
So let's assume that. Let's just assume that you can do anything on Substack, and there'll be 3 things that Substack doesn't do. It won't make you coffee. It can't drive your car. Okay. It can't cook your dinner. But just name anything you want to do, and Substack can do it. Okay. Let's assume that's the case.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
I'm going to say I'd love for it to integrate its comments with third-party platforms.
Yes.
And we have a winner.
That's
And
the
we have a
one
winner.
thing. That's
Oh,
the one
my-
thing it doesn't do.
Yeah,
But
that's the one thing
it's
we want
not
it to
the
do.
end of the world.
Okay, so let me ask you, Keith, you asked me a question. Okay, so I've been asked by a publisher for a magazine to write an article about the 1 million cups and, you know, the journey we've been on. And so they sent me, like I was going to start writing about it, and they said, hey, give me 3,500 characters. And I was like, okay. And they sent me an email with 39 questions. I'm like, oh, this is even better. I'll just write to the questions. So here I am, 2 weeks goes by, and she says, hey, are you almost done? I'm like, oh, can I get it to you on Friday? She goes, yeah, no problem. So, you know, it's coming towards the end of the month, and she's trying to get her stuff together. So she then Friday night rolls around, midnight strikes, and I'm still not done. And I'm like, holy, I mean, just, I got every interruption that could possibly, you know, sitting down and writing takes time. And, you know, I need to be in my zone. So, you know what I did Saturday morning? So let me ask, I want to ask if Substack can do this. So I opened up Claude, and you can do this in ChatGPT too. And I have both subscriptions, right? And I hit, I hit the microphone, and I said, hey, Claude, can I narrate an interview, and I'll go through the questions? And they say, yeah, we can do this. So I went all through all 39 questions, answered it, right? And so then I was able to pull down the transcript of that from Claude. And then what I did is I asked Claude, hey, should I start a different thread? I need to condense this into something smaller. And they're like, yeah, let's start a new thread. You're you know, it's getting long, this thread. So I said, okay, produce a magazine quality piece that's long form, no limitations, based off this thing. And it went in and produced something really nice. And then I said, all right, take this and produce it into a 3,500 character piece for magazine. So it took that and condensed it. It was quite a condensation. And what happened is then I was able to go in there, and there were some edits I had to do, right? Because there was some, for the most part, 99% it was accurate. But then there was some things I wanted to give proper credit and attribution with. There was a few things I wanted to massage, but hey, it was there. And then I sent her one from ChatGPT and one from Claude. And I said, hey, here's my final 2 pieces, one in each LLM. You pick. And she was like, amazing, right? Because she was going to have to do that based on what I was writing. But I knew that in the end, you know, but can Substack do something similar? Like I can narrate something.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, one, you're talking about, to me, you're talking about apples and oranges. You're using AI to create content. Now, if you want to record,
I'm using AI to record it, take the transcript. And
okay.
Then, I guess
you're
right.
You're using AI because you're being very, but if I want to go into Substack, into the recording studio and talk through whatever I'm talking about, it will record it. It will then transcribe it. Then I can take that transcription and put it into my favorite AI tool and then turn that into an article.
Okay.
So it can do that piece. But to me, everything you were talking about is you're having the AI tool do the stuff for you. And that's not what Substack is meant to do. Substack is meant to be a platform where you're publishing multimodal content. Because you could write your article, you could go into 11 Labs or something, have it read your article, and you could upload the audio piece, and then you could also have the video. So you could have all 3, video, audio, and written for one post on Substack.
Okay.
So So that's what you could do with within Substack and using other tools. But I mean, to me, as someone that's been doing this, for going on 10 years as far as content creation, Substack lets me do everything I need to do. And aside from a couple things like these guys said, not having the ability to share comments yet, there are some workarounds, but I don't think it's worth the time yet. And then maybe having a little bit more robust capability with its email marketing system, but it's still a good system because I can download all the emails if I want to use a different email tool. The fact that one, I can send out a schedule for my live streams and people are able to save it in their calendar, and two, that it will email them when I go live. None of the other platforms do that.
Okay.
So I think that's a big difference too.
Yeah, I like what you're saying there. The reason why I use just one of the AIs to record me, because I have Otter.ai, and I almost felt like going video. But I was on the time crunch, and I was like, oh man. So I hadn't.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've been meaning to talk about this. Substack Studio is this amazing feature that came out in March that allows you to pre-record material. Right? Now, what you could have done, and you couldn't still do, no one needs to see this until the finished product. Go into Substack Studio and say, question 1, what is 1 million cups? Well, 1 million cups is, record the whole thing with you talking, push stop.
Yeah.
It'll create a video. It will give you the transcript, and it will give you small edits. That's part 1. Take that transcript and just put it into a blog post. Bingo, you got it. Like, it'll take you 10 seconds as long as once you hit stop, it does everything itself. Now, you can edit manually all of those 19 questions, but if you read out, what is 1 million cups? Who thought of it? What's the point of it? When's the next one? How much does it cost? You can actually read out the question, read out your answer onto video privately, pre-recorded, push stop. Substack will turn that into a video for you, which can go live. You can then get the transcript from that, which can become a blog. And then it just, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the magic. Like, this is, I never thought of this, but this is how I would use that if I was asked that question.
I love your approach. I didn't know. I also have Otter.ai, but you know what? Then I have Zoom, but I like this feature with the studio, right? And that Substack Studio, because I think it, like you said, that would love that to do that, right? And record it, grab the transcript. So I'm
doing this in July. This in July. Why don't we have a chat on one of the July?
Yeah.
I'm creating a new series called Substack Studio Spotlight.
Okay.
And I'm going to interview 12 people 3 times a day for 4 weeks about how they're using Substack, because I don't yet know how this works. And then I'm going to compile a sort of synopsis. But that's a very good use case for that. What is 1 million cups? How can I attend? How much does it cost? Who do you get to speak? How can I become a speaker? What's the point? How long's it been going? How many people like it? You could generate about 100 questions just talking to yourself.
Bez, you can actually use the recording studio on your phone as long as you open it in a browser. So you could
Substack?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking the full-blown Substack works in a browser on your smartphone, not using the app.
Okay.
So you could go in there, open the recording studio, pick front or back camera. So if you wanted to put it on a tripod and record something, as long as you have a good microphone, it would record the whole thing. Like, if you weren't going live, you could record a 1 million cup session with your phone, landscape, and then you'd have the whole thing transcribed when you're done, and you'd have the video, like Keith said.
That would be amazing. what I want to
So
do.
you can do it with an iPad even, because
Yeah.
you just need to have a browser.
A browser. Okay.
And we've got a case study. So I want you to do it, and then I'm going to interview you about how you did it.
Okay. I will do that. And I recommend you interview Jim. He's going to write a book, or he's writing a book about Substack. So, and then you got Americo, who's experimenting too. I'm a young Padawan. So, you know, I will do as you say, Jedi Master, and come back and report what I found out in my journey. So, but what I want to do, it is getting late, and I still got my day I'm planning for this coming week, and I have a few emails to send out. I know you're in the future, Keith, but let's go ahead. Let's go around the horn and do final thoughts. We'll go to Americo, then go to Keith, then Jim, and then myself, and then we'll end it, because it is getting late, and I don't want the clock to strike midnight, because then I turn into a pumpkin. Okay, Americo, you go first. What are your final words? You know, we had a pretty long 2-hour discussion. It started with mental health, and we finally got to tech. Tell us what are your final words?
All right, I'm going to answer your question with a question, even though academia always recommends never answer a question with a question. I want to know what you're going to do and how you're going to repurpose this impromptu conversation, because this wasn't planned. This wasn't scheduled. I'd love to hear what you're going to do with the transcript and how you are going to repurpose today's conversation.
I'll answer that by saying I'm definitely taking this conversation, and I'm going to make some clips here in StreamYard. I'm going to put the whole thing in Substack. Now, I might need some guidance from one of you three, because I don't want to push the wrong button and it just goes to, just messes up. But this has inspired me to actually get my Substack groove on and get my journey going. So great question. Right. Thank you. Yeah.
It's a two-pronged question. Yeah. Where are we streaming to right now? I saw comments coming in from Twitch. I saw comments coming in from Instagram, not Instagram, LinkedIn. Where else are we streaming to?
So we're going, I got my Facebook personal profile, which is the professional one. LinkedIn, I've got a YouTube and a Twitch and a Twitter. That's where I'm sending it to right now. And this is interesting that came in. And have you heard about raids? Like Twitch, this is a thing with Twitch, but I'm not like an expert Twitch. And, I've gotten great comments from Twitch about our shows once in a while, and I just don't really know what to do. But I may be more intentional about Twitch. It's a different audience. But have you guys heard about raids and how that happens in Twitch? You guys don't know? Okay, no. All right. It's a gamer thing. I'm going
to try not to cannibalize the whole conversation, but I got one more question.
Sure.
Because I think there's some great value and some great content that I can repurpose to my community from this conversation. Will you be able to share the transcript?
Absolutely. What I'll do is I will download it, and I will either put in a Google Drive, and you guys can all have access to it. Jim, is there a better way to do that from here? No? Okay. You're muted.
I was going to say, I think Google Drive is probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Because then everybody has access to the file.
Okay. So I'll do that. And you'll see like about 4 clips. You'll see a whole version of this show in one file. And then what you'll also see is I'll download it into a VTT and then a text file. Now, I don't know what VTT is. What's VTT, Jim? Like it's a format. It sounds like, okay, it must be.
I don't know. I normally just use the MP3 and MP4 files. I don't worry about any of that other stuff.
Okay. So anyways, I download it all, and I'll put it there.
Let's see what we can collectively do.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Hopefully this was a good conversation. And Americo, any final thoughts before I go on to Keith?
I have confirmation from Jay Pasco. We are going to summarize the month of June, and we're going to talk about men's mental health on Thursday one more time.
Oh, that's amazing.
7 p.m. Eastern time. be sure to.
Okay,
carve some
please
time.
share it with us. If we can hop on, we will. I'm glad we talked about it. So thank you. And thank you for sharing that. Love for you to share, make a post about it and share it with us. I'd love to hear more about that and jump in if we can, you know. Keith, let's go over to you.
Yeah.
What are your final thoughts as we end out tonight?
Yeah. So in the month of June, this is very poignant for what we're talking about. I've just on Wednesday, Tuesday for you there, I'm finishing a series called Repurpose 3030. So it's quite poignant that we're talking about the power of Substack in this process. So that's on Wednesday, Tuesday for you, and that's a 5-part series that I've been talking about these concepts, which is why we know so much about it. But what I'm doing in July, which is fresh, is that I'm going to take a month off from the show and I'm going to dive deep into Substack Studio. I'm going to pre-record content and I'm going to pull it apart. I don't know how to do it yet, but I will learn. And then in August, I'm going to do a show called Substack Studio 101. Exactly what you said, except as a show rather than an infographic. I'm going to pull apart what I've learned. I'm going to interview the 12 people that have come on, and someone's got to go first. Someone's got to work it out. So I've decided that I'm going to take the month of July off from doing the show live, and I'm going to pull apart the pre-recording feature, and I'm going to talk about it from its limitations to its excitement, and I'm just going to see what it can do. And I'd like you to be part of that, Bez. I'd like you to be part of that. Tell me what you think of it. We'll work through it if you've had a bit of a go at it. 6 of the 12 are already gone, 3 days a week for 4 weeks. So I'm into the 3rd week already, but I've still got 6 sessions left. It won't take me long to fill them because it's such a cool idea. And I don't yet know how to do it, but it's very exciting that I know from history that I will learn. And then at the end of it, I'll put a show together and we'll feature Jim's book about it. It's perfect synergy. We're all doing it in our own little ways. I do live shows. Jim's written a book. Americo's got really cool shows. You know, you're doing 1 million cups. It's, you know, we're all doing something similar, just we're using tech differently. It's very cool, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just from what you're saying, it reminds me that in our own ways, we're building community. And because we're doing different things, right? And I want all of you to think about this as you're there doing your own thing and building whatever you're building, and you're building a following and it becomes a community, that along the journey, you may be an ecosystem builder, and you're going to connect the dots, and you're going to connect resources, and you're going to connect knowledge. So just recognize that you could be building an ecosystem on this journey to share what you know.
Yeah.
Build a following, build
that.
a community. Now it's ecosystem, it's next level. So keep on that journey, because I think we all benefit from that.
I think we are all benefiting. And I love doing the research. I love the exploration. And the analogy, I don't know if you've ever heard me use this analogy, but I used this analogy when I wrote an ebook about Twitter, which almost no one in Australia understood. The concept, not the book. And I said, imagine if I was the guy in the movie Avatar, 6 years at light speed to get to this planet where you can't breathe the air and the animals are really scary. I mean, why would you go there? Right? So I'm going to go there. I'm going to set up a base camp. I'm going to write a manual. And when you arrive, I'm going to hand you the manual and point out the safe spots. That's my job. I'm going to go first. I'm going to write the book, do the show. So when you arrive and you go, what is this thing called Substack? I keep hearing about it. Might as well be Pandora, right? The animals are scary. I can't breathe the air. I don't know where I am. It took me 6 years to get here. What's going on? I'm that guy. I'm the guy that goes first. And I love going first. But I think I owe it to the community to say, look, I do know what I'm talking about. Let me see if I can explain it in an ebook, in a blog post, in a live show. an interview on the television, whatever it needs. And it's an exciting journey to be a bit of an innovator in this way. And that's what we do. We're always going first, aren't we?
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. And before I go to Jim, I want you to develop a graphic. Go to ChatGPT or whatever. ChatGPT. Oh, he took off. Oh, my. That's what happens when you have Australia internet. You know, got to go under the ocean floor. But he'll be back. But Jim, why don't you share what are your final thoughts for tonight? Over 2 hours and 15 minutes. We've gone through an untraditional approach to tech and started with actually mental health. But whatever you want to talk about, what are your final thoughts?
Well, I was going to tell Keith, but he must not have. I don't remember when I posted it, but I've actually done a video and an article on the recording studio. So it's already on my Substack. So Keith, if you want to check that out, I've already done somewhat of a dive on the recording studio, and I think it's also a YouTube video. But yeah, I think that the biggest thing is keeping up with the minor changes. They don't always announce it, of what they're doing with the video part of the platform. You know, so those are the things I've noticed. That's why I had to redo basically something I wrote last year, because now to go live third party, you have to go through the recording studio in a sense to get there, because it's the same sort of format. And then I think I think more people are starting to embrace the video or the audio aspects of the platform. And so I think the big thing is realizing that you can take that video or audio content, upload it as a draft, and then it will actually transcribe it for you so that you can use it for other purposes. And I think, like to Keith's point, using the recording studio, which you can also have up to 2 other people with you if they're on Substack, you know, you could actually even record, if you want to call it, shows, podcasts, whatever, without having to go live. You just won't have necessarily all the bells and whistles, but you can screen share in the recording studio. So that's all I got.
Okay.
It's a pretty magnificent
thank you
idea. It's very magnificent, and I think we've come. I think the thing we need to understand is what can't Substack do. It's very limited. There's 3 things that it can't do. When anything you want to do, it can do.
Yeah, right. And I think, Keith, to your point, the things it can't do to me are not showstoppers, right? Because when you think about what these other platforms can and can't do, none of the other platforms allow you to get people's emails, period. They're right there. That has become so important with when social media goes crazy and decides, you know, like Facebook, oh, we've decided to banish your group for who knows what reason. And he's like, well, I had 50,000 people in my group. I think that's also one of the advantages of school is you get the emails of your school community, or you can email them as well. So I think, you know, that to me is a really big deal. It's kind of an age-old thing, but you got to build a list, and that's one of the things I think is great about this about Substack.
That is true. Well, thank you for sharing your final thoughts on that. That resonates with me. Building a list. Most of us aren't intentional about that unless you're a professional marketer, and so the feature that Substack has is very meaningful. So I just want to put my final thoughts. I want to say thank you for everybody that was here. We had Mitch Jackson, and he reminded me very much that, you know, when he's interviewing Katie Couric, that I realized that a lot of journalism is becoming independent, and they're thriving on platforms like Substack. And that's opening doors for them to do brand deals and collaborations because of their Substack. And even Mitch alluded to why he's interviewing a certain person, or, you know, because, you know, I think he met him on LinkedIn, but they also had a Substack. So, you know, that reminds me of where we are today, is that a barrier to entry is pretty low. But if you have a following, you can be exponentially, do pretty well on these platforms. And so, but we did talk a lot about men's mental health, and thank you, Keith, for bearing your soul with us and owning it. You called it, you named it, and you're okay with it, and you're going to keep talking about it. And I think that as we close out the month of June, where it's a lot about mental health, men's mental health, and PTSD, this is all relevant to what a lot of us encounter or live with. So it's reality, and we need to be able to talk about it, because us men, we're not really good at that. Okay. The other thing we talked about a lot was about live streaming and Substack, and I learned a lot from all of you. Americo's here inspired me. Like, what are you going to do with this content? Well, number one, I'm going to share it with all of you. Okay. I'll put it on a Google Drive, and I'm going to share the link so you guys can download it and do whatever you want with it. And I am definitely going to take it to Substack and see what I can do. You've inspired me to take action. I think when you get in a group, I always tell people this, because especially one of the things in the article that I put out there is that, get in a group with others, right? Because when you get in a group with like-minded people, that creates accountability. Accountability creates urgency. Urgency then creates action. And in America, that's what you just did right now to me. It's like, we're here, we're supporting each other in many ways. We're talking, we're creating community. That community, now we're holding each other accountable. And you just went straight to the action. So now I'm working all my way back up the continuum, urgency and all that. So I really appreciate you bringing that. But if we weren't in a group together, then that wouldn't have happened. Okay. So whether virtually or in person, what they say IRL, in real life, I highly encourage that. Everybody, their boat floats differently. And I want to share something. Rose, our friend Rose, says, she goes, "Hi everyone, interesting convo. And once you put your transcript into an AI tool, it's close to your voice, but many people can tell it's AI written, in my humble opinion." I agree with her on that. That's the thing, because I see a lot of AI slop out there. I think a lot of people don't train the LLM to write in their voice, and I like to write, but in this instance I was pressed for time, and so I recorded my thoughts, and but I was able to get it down and use the tools to help me out. But I did change the final version to reflect how I speak, because I like my writing to be close to how I speak, right? Because there's certain things I do to do pattern interrupts or just get people's attention. Like, I'll use the word "got" when I should use, "Winston, do you have some crumpets?" But I use "got" for like a, like, just get your attention, pattern interrupt. So I appreciate what Rose has said. I think it's interesting, and Rose comes from a standpoint. She's an Emmy-nominated Pulitzer, I guess that's how you say it, Pulitzer Prize nominee or something. I mean, she may have won a Pulitzer Prize. How they say and put those words together, I get it all confused. So she's amazing though, right? She's worked Broken Stories as like Exxon Valdez. I don't know if you guys remember that. That's from way back. But if you're a Gen Xer, you know what I'm talking about. And so if you watched MTV, then you know about the Exxon Valdez. But anyways, hey, I appreciate all of you. It has been a long 2 hours and 23 minutes, but it's gone by fast. Thank you for all the panelists here: Jim Fuse, Keith Keller, and Americo DaCosta, and we had Mitch Jackson here. We're going to sign off, and as Paul Harvey was saying, that's the rest of the story. I'm going to say, and that's the end of the story. We'll catch you the next time. Bye.